look the part, but let's see some of your moves.
Feeling free and it feels so right. Oh, time to do the things I like. Gonna see a princess, everything's alright. Oh, no job but an answer to. Ain't a fixture in the palace zoo. No, and since the carbon nights off me, I'm living life now that I'm free. Yeah, time to get myself together. Now I got myself together. Now I made it through the weather. Better days are gonna get better. I'm so happy. The carbon night is gone. I'm moving on. I'm so happy that it's over now. The pain is gone. I'm putting on my shades to cover up my eyes. I'm jumping in my ride. I'm heading.
And then we'll get, but so we were talking a little bit about what we're looking forward to. So they announced when Kenobi's coming out. So I can't rent a movie theater to see the Kenobi because I'll be leaving for Celebration.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
But who says you have to do it for the first episode?
Oh, I know.
Why couldn't you do it for the finale?
I can do it anytime because that movie theater we went to, and if you guys have one near you, you have to do it. They literally hand you an Apple TV remote. You put in your account. And you can watch
cool.
whatever so when Book of Boba Fett came out, we watched the cartoon from the holiday special. We watched the Book of Boba Fett episode 1, and then Empire Strikes Back. We fit that in our 3-hour window. And we all got popcorn and we all got soda, and it cost us $10 a piece or something like that.
I mean, it would be good to have the whole thing, like at the end of it, like Ken said, just, you're basically there for 6 hours. They probably will kick you out, but.
Well, you get 3 hours, so you just do you can do 2 3-hour spots. Because it's.
How much did it cost you?
If you do it on a weekday, it's $200. And you can have up to 30 people. Now, once COVID restrictions, you can probably have as many as you want. And then if you do it on a weekend, which when I did it was on a weekend because it was a Christmas holiday, it was $300. But even with the 200, you get 30 people, drinks and popcorn for the people. The concession stands open if they want more, and it was really neat. And you can plug in your video game console, whatever you want. I don't know if playing a video game on a movie theater screen would be worth $200, but
It all sounds very interesting.
My biggest concern with the video game is I wonder the latency, how that
would
work out.
I think you direct plug it in. Like I think you direct because it's like a big rat. This is a pretty new theater. Like when Iron Man came out, the first Iron Man is when they built this theater, and this guy made tons of money from Iron Man. And then when Force Awakens came out, he was packed for months. Like he made a lot of money from that too.
Yeah, Mike, you got to remember, I know my way around a projection room.
Yeah,
or a projection booth.
That's true.
Yeah.
But yeah, so because I was thinking of renting it on May the 4th, and just watch whatever's out.
Bad Batch.
Yeah, just.
What happened to the Bad Batch announcement that was supposed to come out today? What happened?
I think, like you said earlier about the, sometimes the things that get hinted or leaked aren't as reliable as we wish they would be.
It's sad.
I just wish they would give us a rough schedule. I just wish they would say, look, give me a window of like X amount of months or something. Like I need to plan mentally for what's coming up.
I mean, look at Marvel. It's the same parent company. And we've got dates for movies that are coming out 4 or 5 years from now.
Yeah. Well,
it is weird.
Marvel's I think the difference between Marvel and Star Wars, and it's the difference between a lot of things. I think it all depends on which medium it started in. So, like Star Wars started with movies, so I think it gets treated as a different animal than Marvel that started in comic books. And I just think it's just however they were born, that birth order changes how things are run. Because I was a big Marvel guy when I used to own a comic book store and all that stuff. And Marvel was run terribly back in the 90s. Like right around like when Image came out and stuff, Marvel like almost went out of business. They bought into a whole nother distributor. They were selling. You could have bought the rights to any of their characters for probably pennies. You know, they would sell anyone the rights. If you were like if you had a camcorder, they would give you like Thor or something. You know.
Yeah, $2 and half a sandwich, and
Yeah,
now you own Iron Man.
No, I remember in 93 or 94. I got some affiliate thing because I still had my store, and they wanted me to pay, and they would send me costumes, and I could go and have like a party business and be like Spider-Man at someone's party or something like that, you know, or something. It was so weird the stuff they were doing.
And you did this or did not do this?
No, I didn't. I didn't have any. I was a struggling. I opened a comic book store right before the internet came out. It was probably if there was like a span of time not to open a comic book store, I opened it right then. You know?
See, I'm expecting like a secret passageway in your house, and you have all of those Marvel costumes lined up. You're like, today I'm gonna be Ant-Man.
You know, I wish I rarely wish for things like I did things or didn't things. I try to like live my life like, look, everything I've done has led me to this point. But when I got rid of my comic book store, I owned my personal collection was every Spider-Man except for the first 9, and every appearance of Spider-Man in every comic book, and every book, and I got rid of it all for pennies because my business went under, and I just had to, you know, get myself because I was in a strip mall, and the grocery store that was the anchor of the store went out of business, like without telling us. They're like, "Oh, guess what? We're closing up in 2 weeks." So,
so you want to use my time machine, is what you're telling us? That's what it comes down to.
I'd probably just send my hand back and slap myself upside the head, and just say, "Go back to school and don't wait till you're 30." So,
actually, if you went back and got those comics and moved them into the future, you'd make a lot of money.
They were worth a lot of money then. The only one I have left is the one I proposed to my wife with. I proposed to her with Amazing Spider-Man 289. That's where Peter Parker proposed to Mary Jane. So
every time you say something, like all these surprises come out, I think someone needs to make a video about you.
No, you haven't even heard my family tree. my grandfather, the Italian side of my family, my grandfather's from Pittsburgh, and my real dad's side of the family, my real dad, I have a sister that's a little older than me. He got his drill instructor's wife pregnant while he was in boot camp. And so he got sent to Vietnam in a place he probably shouldn't have come back. And then I have two younger brothers that are a month apart because my dad got 2 best friends pregnant. Like my dad got like every woman he talked to for more than 5 minutes, he got pregnant.
I'm not laughing at you. I'm just laughing at the circumstances.
My dad, he was a terrible person. I mean, I didn't meet him until I was way older, but he wasn't a very good person. But he, I have siblings.
Apparently, he was pretty charismatic, though.
Oh yeah, I mean, but we always laughed because he was in Vietnam for 14 months. We said there's a half Hungarian, half Vietnamese village somewhere because, like, he was in Vietnam for 14 months. So you know.
That's a lot of time.
But I was raised by my grandparents, and they did a good job. Like so, and that's Star Wars was one of those things that, when I saw Luke Skywalker not living with his parents, I think that's what hooked me. Because he didn't live with his parents, and it wasn't a big deal in the story. Like it wasn't like the after school special where little Billy was sad because he didn't have a dad or a mom. You know, it was just like, okay, this is Luke Skywalker.
Cool.
So.
And I lived with my grandparents from the time I was 16 on, and I had the same kind of Luke moment where I'd like, I don't want to live here. I got to go somewhere else. I got to go do something beyond this town, beyond this. You know, I grew up in small town upstate New York, and it was got to do something else. Got to get off of this rock.
Well, until I moved out here in Quarryville, which is about 16 miles from where I grew up, I lived with my grandparents. Then my mom and stepdad kidnapped me when I was in 5th grade. They lived a mile away. Then when I got married, I rented a house that was halfway between my grandparents and my parents' house. And then I bought my grandparents' house and lived there. So up until I moved here, I lived within a mile of the same spot my entire life. So I didn't get out.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
who's gonna fund the Mike Hinton biopic?
I
I
know,
think
actually
that's the story we need to tell.
Well, instead of the funding, who's gonna play the roles? That's an even more a more fun
I
conversation.
think John can play 22-year-old Mike. I didn't have as good a hair as him, but
It does sound like this is a story that needs to be told.
Oh, I have a transcript of my grandfather who raised me. His dad killed a police officer during one of the riots because he was from Italy. He was from Sicily, and I have the court transcripts because then he was later beat to death in prison by the guards. But the court no, I'm sorry, but the court it shows how weird things were. But like those court transcripts would almost be considered racist the way they were. I don't know if you call it racist, but the way they were talking about my great grandfather, which he killed a man. He should have went to trial and stuff. But it's just weird that how far we've come. And I think part of this, it always comes back to Star Wars. I think part of George Lucas, what I love about George Lucas, I feel like I was raised, even though I'm not a lot younger, but younger than George Lucas, I was raised by people that came right out of World War II. So I was raised in that 40s and 50s mentality. Like we had records and a black and white TV. So I don't know. My students always get a kick out of my stories too.
Yeah,
Well, if you deliver them like that, I can see why.
My principal. So have you ever heard of the painter Andrew Wyeth?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you remember when those paintings were stolen in the 80s? They were stolen in the 80s.
Are you connected to this somehow?
That was my uncle. My uncle stole them.
Of course he did.
No, and
why wouldn't he?
The cool part.
Why wouldn't Mike Hinton be involved with in an art theft?
The cool part about that story is when he got thrown in jail, like I was like in 8th grade, like they were fixing the telephone pole outside of my mom and dad's house for years because it was the FBI tapping our phone because it was my mom's sister and her husband. They were tapping the phone and all this. But when he went to jail, I got all his clothes. So I always had terrible clothing. Like we went to the farmer's market and you got the sneaker out of the left-hand barrel and the sneaker out of the right foot barrel. And that's, your sneakers. And so for the first time in my life, I had like Arrow shirts and all this because all his clothes were really nice. I wore those things till they fell apart.
Can we go back to the Andrew Wyeth theft?
Yeah.
What?
My uncle was a criminal and they would steal stuff. So he masterminded his theft and they stole. He hired a guy to steal Andrew Wyeth's painting.
What was it called? The American. Well, I don't forget what it was called. The girl that's on the lawn.
Yeah, well, I don't know which picture it was, honestly. We used to have the ladder. I don't know whatever happened to the ladder because the guy he hired stole it. And then the funny part is, part of the money when they were paying for it, the one fence used a 56 Chevy as part of the payment. That 56 Chevy was owned by my wife, her grandfather. I never knew my wife then. They lived in a whole nother, but that was her grandfather's car that he had sold him legally. He wasn't involved in the crime. But the fence and bookie that then turned on my uncle, his stepson married my wife's sister.
His stepson married my wife's sister.
Is Kevin Bacon somehow involved in this? Like,
yeah,
a 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon here. Like, where does Kevin Bacon fit into all this?
I don't know.
Because we've already got Harrison Ford mixed in.
Star Wars podcasts are the best thing you have going for you. Actually, I think.
Well, see, it's again, it's just all that stuff just makes you like. It just makes me know what I want to make sure.
Makes you paranoid?
No, my wife used to get paranoid because the Johnston gang, which is out of Philly, when the one Johnston gang guy was out of jail, I used to joke around to my wife that they were going to come to our house because I bought my grandfather's house looking for my uncle, which he wouldn't, but
as far as you know.
Well, but and he used to smoke a cigar, the one guy from the Johnston gang. Well, there's a piece of copper pipe laying in the yard, and it looked like a cigar, so I took a picture of it just to mess with her and say, look what I found outside the thing. She didn't think it was as funny as I did. But
no, I don't think she would, considering that she probably knows a whole bunch of other stories that we don't know yet.
No, my wife's pretty. She came from pretty like just normal. But
Well, I'm
besides
talking about
that,
you.
oh my, I was man. I didn't do anything else. It just a lot of stuff happened around me.
Well, that's what a criminal would want us to think.
Yeah.
Yeah, you tell all of these stories because you don't want us to know the real story.
Yeah, he's throwing
Yeah.
us off.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I look at my kingdom of Star Wars junk.
Yeah, how much of that is stolen, by the way?
Luckily none.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, this room doesn't. I don't think this room has any pops in it.
You have stuff in that room that's stolen. Don't lie. We're
Nope.
looking right at it. The Star Wars Celebration.
Oh
poster.
yeah, I do have the celebration.
Liar.
The
I guess it
schedule
runs
for
in the
podcast.
family, Mike.
No, when I walked in the hotel with that like 7-foot tall sign, Missy was like, "What are you doing with that?" I
So
said, "I
you have
a
that.
security guard."
You have that Cad Bane. Not, I don't know if that's Cad Bane, but you have a character that looks like Cad
Yeah,
Bane.
yeah, that's a mask. So
How happy were you with the TV version?
I liked it. I mean, I kind of liked the cartoon version, but I always in the clone as a costume person, because the clones are so the way that they're drawn. When you try to make their costumes, everyone I know, not knocking anyone's costumes, but if you're not careful, the Cad Bane costumes look like a bobblehead because you got to get the proportions right with that big hat. Where the one they showed, it would make an easier costume. Like anymore, everything I look at, well, how can I make that? How can I make that? You know. But yeah, I like the new Cad Bane, and I like that he had the metal plate on his head to reference when Boba Fett shot him in the head and stuff. I wish they would have said more about that.
Because your color's more, the color of your character is closer to the TV one than the cartoon.
Yeah, well, this is the character from the Cantina.
Yeah.
These are the two Cantina ones right here. Some lady, her husband died, and she had like an entire room of nothing but masks.
And your family had nothing to do with that, right?
No, nothing to do. No, and somehow she contacted me. She thought I was some connoisseur of maps or masks, and I said, "Look, lady, I just, and I think I don't know what her story was, but I think she thought everything was worth way more money than it was, and but I wound up picking up those two masks from her, but it should not for what she was asking. I said, "Look, I can give you this for all of them," because she thought like each one of those masks were like thousands of dollars. I'm like, no, they're not thousands of dollars. So
they look pretty cool.
It is nice. The blue one has never been cut, so you can't really put it on. It has the slit mark in it. So I have too fat a head for anything. But that one, Safi can wear that one, but you can't see out of the eyes. They're painted. Are
those Don Post masks or no?
No, they're custom. They're like custom built and airbrushed. I forget who that mask in the 90s. Someone, when the internet first came out, there was someone selling those masks that they cast right off the original until Lucasfilm closed them down for a while. That one looks like one of those because of the slit up the back. It looks like someone found an original, put it together, and made a cast and airbrushed it.
Yeah, from back here, it looks great.
Yeah, it's here. Let me see if I can.
Oh, here we go.
And here are the fingerprints.
It's like a live unveiling. Look at that.
And then you can see. Sorry, I can't hear you guys, but you can't.
This is where we tell all the stories about Mike because he can't hear us.
Right up there, that has to be cut. But you can't. The eyes are. It's all solid. It's all.
It looks
Anyway,
a little
like
lizardy when you see him on the side. It looks a little lizardy.
Yeah. But it's pretty cool. I mean, I like the detail. I like the airbrushing and stuff. So.
And you cannot do magic mushrooms in that room.
Well,
that would be quite an experience.
Well, this setup was done pre-COVID, so half of my equipment I don't need anymore just because of how technology has changed since COVID. Like I said to these guys, I just remember the early days of Zoe's podcast. We would have an open mic playing into a computer that was recording it on GarageBand, and it was because of what's the phone service one? Skype. Skype was so unreliable back then. Like, it would just drop off and stuff. And then, like, when it used to be, if you had a Lucasfilm person on your show, you had to have Skype and you had to give them a number. Like you couldn't just, back in like her when she did I think it was the Lego creators for the Lego cartoon or something like that. We had to send Lucasfilm a phone number and they had to call or something. It's weird. It's weird how they protect.
So you can't get their info, I guess.
I guess I don't know. But then the newest one, I think the last Lucasfilm one she had was Dave Filoni's wife, and she just did it via whatever Zoom. So yeah.
I remember when Ken and I started our podcast. I mean, you guys helped us out, but we had like the first 5 podcasts were like the worst audio you would ever. I remember Ken, we had like Meech's dog in half the episodes, and it was just the audio. My mic would not work at all, or in the sound levels were like all over the place. And then when we finally got Zoom, we're like, well, this is much easier. We don't have to do all these crazy things. Just record on Zoom.
And it's funny because that wasn't really that long ago. We're talking 2020.
I do love your video games back there, though, too.
But these guys?
Yeah. I had a Sinistar. Remember Sinistar?
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. That first talking game.
Before I moved out here, I had a Sinistar, and the power supply went, and I give it to a guy. A guy came to my house, and it was sitting
crazy.
It was at the point we were moving, and I had both my kids I think Safi was 3 and Zoe was 5. And it was just like, okay, I got to load this truck, and I had stuff sitting out, and the Sinistar was sitting in my garage. And this guy came up. So what are you doing with that Sinistar game? I said, you want it? He's like, yeah. I said, take it right now before I change my mind. And I could kick myself, man, because I love that game.
Want to borrow my time machine?
Oh, the time machine came up.
Well, now they make those big games. You see it where they'll make like your personalized console.
Yeah, a friend of mine has one of those, and he has like 2,000 games in it.
Yeah,
and they're really good. Like he's got the trackball, he's got the 6 buttons on each side, he's got all these different kind of controllers, and it's a really sweet machine. I like the machines as individual machines, but
yeah,
you can go either way if you don't have all the room. I want to get the. I'm really looking forward to getting a Donkey Kong machine, and I want a red one, which is it's one of the first 2,000.
We have a couple places around here that
Grail.
We have a couple places around here that sell the old machines. There's one in Coatesville that sells them, and there's one out in Harrisburg. And they run between 11 and 1,500 depending on, and then like some of the bigger ones are. But
you know what to tell your wife to go to Lancaster to get for you, Anthony.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's exactly what she wants to do.
Yeah, don't bring back any of the
on top of the roof.
Yeah, don't bring back any of the Amish pies or anything like that, or bring back Donkey Kong.
There's a new restaurant in Lancaster, right in the city, called Decades, and they took an old gymnasium of an old armory, and they put half of it is a bowling alley, and then half of it's a restaurant and bar. And it's all spread out, and it's all full of old video games. And so, when you're waiting for your food, you can buy a thing of tokens, and you can go play like Pac-Man and Off Road, and they have the old asteroids with the buttons instead of the stuff like that. But that's
I'm on the website right now.
Decades.
Oh wow, that's pretty.
It is and what's nice is it's the two things I like about Decades is however they do their sound management, you can still talk to the people at your table. Like you go to a lot of these places and you can't hear anything. They have that, and it's all spread out. Like even when it was open during COVID, you didn't feel like you had people like crowding you and stuff.
This is gorgeous.
Yeah, now you want to come to Lancaster, right?
No. You guys see it? No.
Oh yeah, wait. Let me turn it on. Let me see. See if I can. There it is, right there. Yep.
Oh wow.
I'm sharing your screen right now.
Look at that.
Yeah, that's the bowling alley, and the food's good. The food's really good. I mean, I'm vegan, so I'm limited, but their vegan food's really good too.
Oh. This is really good. All right,
and that's right in.
I'm like talking twice here.
Well, now we know that on Tatooine that they actually have an arcade.
Yeah. Not anymore. Well, did they?
No, I like to see that arcade game too. Like, what is that game? It's like a weird.
Series.
Yeah, I don't think they destroyed the game. They just beat up all the bike riders.
Yeah. Well, this hollow chess table, when it's done, I have all the electronics. When I wire it up, you can play hollow chess at my house now.
Do you ever just relax and do nothing for like a weekend?
No. That's my wife.
Understood.
She does it. This is probably the most I've sat down at home since last Wednesday. So, so she's happy. I'm just resting. My dog, my one bulldog, he barks at me if I'm sitting down because he's not used to it. Like if I sit down to watch a TV show, he starts barking. So, but I think when the pandemic,
I have to run. I have an interview to give in the morning. I have to be. I have quite a day. But this is an exciting. Just hearing Mike's stories alone is worth it.
I want more Star Wars stories though. That's what I want. I wish I could. Can I trade them in? Can I sell those to like Kramer and buy Star Wars stories?
Oh, we could just change the names.
Yeah, to protect the innocent.
Yeah, you could turn your family, turn them into Star Wars stories. Just give them Star Wars themed segment.
Yeah.
Yeah, remember the time that Santo stole that painting from Jabba Hutt's palace?
Yeah, there we go. I could just write the next season of Boba Fett.
So, I mean, Kathleen Kennedy, you're listening to our show. I mean, we've already
Yeah,
talked
she's one
about
of
doing
the-
a fan appreciation day. Now we gotta, get Mike connected. You know Matt Martin. He's part of the story group.
Yeah, good old Matt.
Why aren't you planting the seeds with Matt Martin? He's our buddy.
Know.
The stories write themselves.
Yeah. All right. Well,
I mean, you could be in one of those anthology books. Tales from the Cantina or whatever.
my dream part I just want to be a rundown old TIE pilot that says old scruffy things like to the youngins. That would be my dream character.
No, you're like that character that built the fighter in the last ever. Pelly Moss, is that her name? That's you.
Oh yeah.
Now you'd be the person. You ever see like in the movies like the Kingsman people that put on the outfits when they're the spy?
Oh yeah.
That's you. Okay. I gotta go here and pretend to be this. I got the helmet for you. It's like you from James Bond.
Explosive cufflinks and canes that are really swords hidden inside. And
well, I'll stick with just being a sand trooper, and John is he'll be a fellow stormtrooper soon. And then we just get Anthony in a costume. You could do the guy that spins. You could have the eyepiece and the suit.
That's a good trick.
Yeah, he was a dapper character.
I like spinning.
Spinning's a good trick.
It is.
Our next episode, you can only reply with quotes from Star Wars.
I have a bad feeling about this.
There we go.
All right, well,
I will
let you guys go. I'm looking forward to doing this again. It's really cool.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah.
Good to see you, Anthony.
Popping on.
Yeah, Anthony, it was a pleasure meeting you.
Nice to meet you, John.
And listen to Anthony at, what's your podcast name?
Ken, what is our podcast?
The Forces Behind Star Wars.
The Forces Behind Star Wars. It's very good.
Star Wars. It's on all major podcast thingies.
And YouTube.
And
all right.
No, we're not on YouTube.
Aren't you on YouTube? Where do you put
Not yet. Facebook.
Oh, Facebook videos. Okay. Yeah. All right.
We're not fancy enough to be on YouTube
yet. The Facebook is actually acceptable for us. The episode that we had for the toys, I think 3,500 people watched that one.
Nice.
Which for us, it's a lot.
Well, that's a lot for us.
Well, making Star Wars, he got so many views, but that was a pretty good one. And then the last one we did in the Book of Boba Fett was kind of like came out of nowhere because we were like, let's do an episode next week. We're like, okay.
Cool.
But our next one, Ken, is based on Attack of the Clones.
Yes, the 20 things that we love about Attack of the Clones.
Nice.
In celebration of its 20th anniversary.
Oh,
and our 20th episode. It'll be our 20th episode that we've created. So I'm pretty excited about that.
And
we're almost legal to drink.
All live by that.
Yeah.
Which is a good thing for us. All right, guys. I'll let you go.
All right. See you later.
See you later, Anthony.
There. So now we know how to do guests.
That's
Perfect.
Pretty cool.
Now we just need more guests.
Can you guys see the like green room bar on the side? Like is it like I have a bar? I guess it's for the guests.
Yeah, I don't have that on mine.
See, like if I click on you, I can turn you off, see, and then you disappear, and I turn you back on.
Yeah, I don't have that kind of magic.
Oh,
Yeah, I
okay.
think we can only see ourselves on the left hand
okay.
side.
Okay, but do you have a little blue switch on next to yourself on the side or no?
Hmm.
Okay.
No,
Yeah. So I don't know. I
because you're
just
the host with the most.
yeah, I just saw when he was on, so I just posted up. He was watching a movie. I said, "Look, when you get free, jump on, and try to get some more people. Just make it like Wednesday night Star Wars or something. I don't know."
So it's funny that you say that, because while you make a lot of stuff, I brainstorm a lot of stuff. So I've 1.5 million ideas, and one of them is, and the name of it is actually Rambling Star Wars Fans.
There you go. See?
Like what we've done for the last 6 hours, if you count the 3 hours from the last episode, and rolling up on 3 hours. It's literally just rambling of Star Wars fans, where we start here in this edge of the galaxy, and we go over here, and the next thing you know, we're listening about world famous art heists that our relatives pulled off successfully.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it is kind of nice, because you don't get to do that as much. Like even my job, sometimes my job is the loneliest job ever, because I'm teaching, and then when the kids leave, I got to do my stuff, and then by the time the day's over, I haven't really had any contact other than the actual teaching, and so you can't have those discussions, Star Wars wise,
I've managed to, in my short period of time at work, fit Star Wars into my professional role.
Nice.
And so every month I'm expected to host an update meeting, a data update meeting. And since my very first formal meeting, I've hidden a Star Wars something in my slide deck.
Nice.
And at the end of every meeting, I have a slide. Did you find it? It's like, where's Waldo? And part of it is to encourage the participants to pay attention to what I'm actually showing them.
Yeah.
So I've hidden Stormtrooper, I've hidden BB-8. Last month I hid Boba Fett. So I've managed to sneak Star Wars into my professional life, even so much so that every once in a while, when I go down to the cafeteria to get lunch, when I decide to buy lunch at work, one of the folks are like, "Hey, look, it's a Star Wars guy."
Yeah.
I don't even know if they all know my real name, but some of them refer to me as, "Hey, it's a Star Wars guy."
That's a good name to have.
Yeah,
Well,
I definitely won't turn it down. That's for sure.
I've had that discussion with my students because I have a lot of quotes and stuff with Star Wars and stuff. And I've had the discussion with them. I said, there's nothing wrong with you having real life heroes and stuff like that. But I also said, there's also something to be said with fictional heroes let you test those boundaries of your emotions and feelings without really having to worry about, like the real ramifications of it. You know what I'm saying? Like you can be a real, I'm a big George Lucas fan, and I love George Lucas, but when he passes away, that will be real emotions that, I'll feel for someone that was a real living thing. But I think the fictional characters let us test those emotions for when something, close to home hits. And I was trying to explain that to students because, I don't want to, I want them to understand it's okay to, care about things that don't necessarily seem important to some people, if that makes any sense.
Well, I hope one of those lessons is also to respect, like you have talked about, we all have different fandoms, or there's a potential for other fandoms. Just because my fandom is not your fandom and your fandom is not the other person's fandom, it doesn't make one better than the other. They're just different. And the excitement, the passion, the interest for that person is important just as much as yours is important to you. So allow both of those things to exist at the same time without necessarily needing it to be a competition of who's right or wrong or who's better or worse.
Right. Well, and I think we touched on it last time, but like all these people from Lord of the Rings fandom are starting to get up in arms about, they just sound like some of the, and I still wonder, all these people that get up in arms about whatever fandom, if they're a true fan of that genre, if every little bump gets you upset, like you were saying earlier, if you're just reading one chapter of a book and you get upset about it, you got to rethink what your definition of a fan is.
One thing I have thought about, because you were talking about fan and earlier, and fan being, connected to fanatic. I also like to think that fan isn't really too much far off from fun.
True.
It's one letter different, and if we can be a fan of something, we should also look to have fun with it. Because if it's not fun, why do it?
Right.
And why should my fandom decrease somebody else's fun?
Right. Well, there is so many things in life you can't pick. Like you can't pick your family. You at a certain point in life, you almost can't pick your job. You're kind of, there's just certain things you can't pick, and it's like you can pick your fandom. If I just decided tomorrow that Star Wars does not make me happy, all of this would be gone. It would. I mean, it's not going to happen, but why would you subject yourself to that?
Yeah, life is too long and too short to be miserable.
Yeah, and I think that's for someone outside of the fandom, I feel like that's very hard to explain to someone. Like, for instance, I work with car people, so they're not into the nerd culture like we are, and trying to explain to them like Star Wars is a huge part of my life. It is literally tattooed on my body, and it's hard for them to grasp that something that isn't real or isn't something that you can go outside and see can be a huge life-defining thing.
Yep.
I feel like it's impossible for them to grasp that.
Well, we get in our bubbles. So we get in our bubbles, and so as a Star Wars fan, we think more people understand Star Wars than we really do. Because right before I went back to college, I used to run a paintball field, and paintball, I was all in paintball all the time, similar to what I am in Star Wars. And you realize it's such a niche market, but you forget that not everyone knows about it. And I think Star Wars fans are the same way. Car fans are the same way. Like, if you talk to the right car person, they're like, look, I just got this tachometer to put on my GTO, and I spent $4,000 on the hood and blah, blah. And we're like, what? Or even someone who restores old cars. You're like, well, look, you have a car with no airbags, no safety, and you want to drive that around. To a person outside of that, I don't know if you call car. I guess you could call cars a fandom. Outside of that fandom, you kind of you almost have to. It's that empathy of like knowing how people feel about things, and it comes with podcasters. The biggest thing I see with podcasters and influencers or whatever you're calling it, there's a lot of those people that think people are competition. Like, you'll talk to a podcaster and they act like, well, you're my competition. I can't be that nice to you. And a podcaster's competition is not another podcaster. A podcaster's competition is something else someone's doing rather than listening to a podcast. Like, if you fit that niche market for somebody, the same people that you think are your competition are just going to be what someone listens to on a Tuesday. Because I always look forward to Mondays because it's always that I get a nice full Star Wars podcast. Or when Zoe, I made the habit of, it doesn't always work, but most of the time I try not to listen to her podcast when I edit it. I put the bumpers on, throw it on, because I love listening to it on the way to work.
Well, one thing I wish would happen more often, and I know we're talking about podcasting and fandom, I'd even extend this into politics, religion, whatever. I wish folks would exhibit curiosity. So, John, you mentioned that you work with people. So what is it about looking at cars, building cars, driving cars that you find so enjoyable? What is it that gets you excited about it? What do you think is fun? Tell me that, because I'm curious. I want to know. And then on the flip side, so give me a moment to share with you why or what it is that I like so much about this fantasy movie. And with that curiosity, you may find that there are a lot more similarities than they initially thought. So, for instance, just off the top of my head, folks who love tinkering with cars love tinkering with things. They like building it. Well, someone who likes making a costume likes building things. Someone who works on a car or works on a costume likes the sense of, I had a problem, I had to figure out how to be creative to get this costume to look the way I wanted it to, or for this car to work the way I wanted it to. So there are similarities between it if we just spent the time and the curiosity to look at it beyond just the surface of Cars movies, Cars Star Wars, or whatever it happens to be. And with that curiosity, there's so much more of a chance for connection, for understanding, instead of battling and conflict.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. Well, John, you should just get them into the Road Squadron. Have you seen the Road Squadron?
Oh yeah.
You get that,
Oh,
you get some
I
nice decals
loved
on that Camaro, you know? No, because I tell you what, the Road Squadron, which is pretty neat, because it's such a small group, it's like such a niche group. Last Celebration, they all got into Celebration free and got to park their car in the Celebration thing.
it.
Do you understand? Like there's certain groups that have a little more. As much as the 501st always seems like it's the pinnacle one, the group with the perks, the Road Squadron and the Droid Builders, sometimes they circumvent all of that just because of there's such a niche market, you know.
Oh, see, I'd be all about Road Squadron. However, I gotta get over my irrational fear of putting anything on factory paint.
Yeah, but see, so you have a Cricket, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think 3M makes removable decals for cars.
Do they?
Yeah, so
Yeah, but would the sun affect the paint that's not covered by the sticker?
Well, it's like those seat cover things in the sense that, you know, oh, wait a minute, let me see. Okay, sorry, Zoe just didn't text me, so here's my, and I'll get back to this. Yeah, I think of like seat covers, like guys who put covers on their car seats so they don't mess them up, and then they have that car for like 10 years, and then like, what are you going to do with the seats after 10 years? You know what I mean? Like, okay, you didn't enjoy your car for 10 years, and now you have brand new seats in a piece of shit car. I don't know how it affects the fading, but I'm telling you that like some of the Road Squadron, like the one Mustang, a guy, man, I forget his name now, from California, he has a Mustang that he did up like Rex. It has number 66 for Order 66. It has the blue stripes like Rex. Ken Parks, that's who. Ken Parks, I think is his name. But there's a lot, and some of them are literally, some of those Road Squadrons are just like, there's a couple that just like a black car with red stripes, and then it has like some Arabish under the door, and he's Road Squad like, and then other ones have like R2 units bolted on the roof, and you know, all kinds of
X-wings.
Yeah. So,
or this could be just a project car. I mean, how cool would it be for you to have another, you know, the Boba Fett?
Yeah.
You know, so you get a Corvette and theme it to connect to Boba Fett.
I saw a van. It was literally like a cargo van that someone just painted like an off-white, and then they painted like Millennium Falcon markings on it. And then there is a I want to say a 63 or 64 Buick station wagon. They did a whole Millennium Falcon wrap on it.
Wow, that had to have been expensive.
Yeah, well, I mean, you and I say that's expensive, but like, look at our costumes.
Yeah.
If you don't have a costume to build, it's expensive as you know.
You got a point.
You can't drive a Mandalorian costume to work, but you can drive the Boba Fett.
But like your car, you could just put the mythosaur, you know, put the mudhorn. Put the mudhorn on your window.
Yeah.
Put a mudhorn on that little back window, and you know.
Yeah, they're useless quarter glass anyway. So
yeah. So put some mudhorn on there. Put a Baby Yoda on your dash or something.
Or you could get the sticker on the passenger side that looks like Baby Yoda sitting in the passenger seat looking out with a blue cookie in his hand.
Did you see the newest one that came out? They came out with Cad Bane.
Oh,
so
really?
It looks like he's riding in your back seat. So I bought Zoe for her bug. I bought the Ahsoka ones. So I have the Ahsoka ones but we haven't put them on the car yet. But I bought her the Ahsoka ones because Ashley Eckstein was signing the boxes from I forget the name of the company, but
Her Universe.
no, the company it's like Flatheads, but for car. It's like a car one.
Oh, okay.
And you know, but yeah, that the Road Squadron is a. I mean, and the people I met, like, they're pretty nice, and like I said, they got to pool their cars right in the celebration. So yeah, just get a beater car. Just like that one guy, the head of it, I think he just upgraded his car because he just had like a Nissan, like an old Nissan that just had like the whole dash was ripped out and it looked like an interior of a X-wing, and had all that stuff on them. So
yeah, I might do like a white 4th gen Camaro, and because my car goal, because I'm also a car person, my car goal is I want to own every generation of Camaro.
Okay, that's
I
good.
am a third of the way there.
How many generations are there?
6.
Oh, okay. Well, that's the third's good.
So
I love the math.
yeah, technically, I'm a 6th of the way there, or a third of the way there, because I've got a 3rd gen and a 6th gen. But I might do like a white 4th gen Camaro and put some tally marks and big old blue Jag eyes on the hood.
There you go. See?
Yeah,
Do a Captain Rex Camaro, Captain Rex Camaro.
Captain Rex. That's what I mean. Like, it's a fun group. It's a you sign up on Facebook. I think it does. And then they basically have a database of where you are, and then they just show up like car shows. You can go to a car show, and they're in that frequency.
What if instead of doing Rex, what if you did something Cad Bane called the Cam Bane?
Oh,
Yeah.
Your vanity plate could be Bane.
Yeah.
I saw a couple good Boba Fett cars at a car show once where they painted it like the paint was chipping off. It looked good. It looked like a rat rod, but it was painted in Boba Fett colors. So we have a giant shopping cart in Lancaster. The guy has a giant shopping cart with a V8 Chevy engine on it. So
what else would you put in a giant shopping cart?
And there's an Amish buggy made like an old Ford street rod, but the body of it's an Amish buggy.
That's awesome. I love that level of creativity.
Yeah, so in Ohio, I'm not sure if you can do it other states, but I know in Ohio you can search the availability of vanity plates.
Oh yeah. We can't do it in PA. You just have to submit 3 and hope you get the first one.
Yeah, CPN REX is still available in Ohio. I'm limited to 6 characters instead of the normal 7 because I always get FOP plates, Fraternal Order of Police.
Okay. Now, is your dad a car guy?
Oh yeah.
So that might be, get your dad hooked in there.
Yeah, I will get him into one group. He texted me today. He asked me, he's like, how much would a Y-wing costume be? I'm like, I mean, what are you going for? Are you going for Halloween or are you going for Rebel Legion?
Yeah, Y-wing's good. The helmet. Well, now with 3D printing, I would say the helmet would be your headache. But now with 3D printing, or even is the Y-wing helmet the same as Luke's helmet?
Yeah.
So you just buy the Black Series helmet. Those Black Series helmets for pilots are beautiful. They're not. It's almost not worth printing one for as nice as those Black Series ones are.
Right, which is I try and tell them the same thing about the TK armor. It's like the vacuum form ABS stuff is so much nicer than a 3D printing would turn out.
Yeah, I see guys printing again. My biggest concern with guys that 3D print TK armor is it will look fine until they're standing next to 3 other guys, and then it will stand out like a sore thumb because you can't hide that. You can't hide it with that white. I mean, the white will hide it, but not next to ABS white.
Right.
I mean, some guys do it, but it's not the amount of time and effort you put to smoothing that out. You might as well just buy TK armor is relatively inexpensive in the realm of armor, how armor goes.
Yeah, I mean, for TK armor it's obviously it's full body. I spent half of what I spent on my Mandalorian armor.
Yeah.
And that's 8 different like hard parts.
Yeah. Well, the soft parts can run you too. Like I know guys that'll build an officer, and they're like 80%. They could have bought a TK. You know, if you want to do an officer, I mean, I'm not knocking anyone, but it's hard for me to believe that someone growing up said, I don't want to be a stormtrooper. I'd rather be that guy. You know, I mean, I'm sure there is, but that always seems suspect to me.
Tarkin, man, he was a convincing villain.
So I like Krennic. I thought Krennic's costume.
Well, Krennic was the one I did like Krennic. But if someone said to me, like, because I know a Krennic costume would cost you close to $1,000 to do it right, with the boots and the capes and all that kind of stuff. Well, if they said you can either do Krennic or a TK, I'd still take the TK over, you know.
Well, that's because we like armor. We like things that we can make. You and I are not good with soft goods.
Yeah, no. But I also and I understand no one can look exactly like the person, but if I looked exactly like someone, maybe I'd feel differently. But there's some people that just don't look anything like the person, and I don't want to, you know, whatever. But like you gotta, I don't know, you gotta know your strengths, you know. And I like having my helmet on, and I
look so much better in a helmet.
Yeah, me too. I have a face for radio, is what I was told.
You must have had the same grandparents that I did.
No, I'll tell you, my grandparents spoiled me. I will say that. I was like the chosen one with them. They were good to me. You know, as good as you could be. Like I said, my grandmother hooked me up with Star Wars figures. 2 Jawas, Stormtrooper and Chewbacca, and the Land Speeder were my first ones. And I played with them for months before we could get more, because that was like, you know, $1.50 a piece. That was a lot of money.
Wow, you got 2 Jawas though.
I had 2 Jawas, and it drove my grandmother nuts because she didn't understand why they cost the same amount of money as Chewbacca. Because Chewbacca was big, you know. But the Jawas, probably when I was a kid, next to the Sand Trooper, my Jawas were my favorite. You know, I don't know what it was about them. I just think it was just maybe it's just because they didn't explain stuff in Star Wars, so you could just run it with your imagination. You could just, you know.
Or do you think it was because they were also tinkerers?
That could be. That could be.
I mean, did you steal parts from some other car and put it on your own car at some point?
I've never, honestly, besides that sign, and now you made me feel bad, I have never stolen anything. Like my grandfather would have, I would have felt it. But like when I was a kid, our jungle gym was a 65 Ford Falcon in the backyard. We just had a dilapidated, it had no motor, no interior, and the windows, we would roll the windows down. If you know a 65 Ford Falcon, it has a pretty wide ledge on it. Mm-hmm. And when you're like first and second grade, we'd run up and down that ledge and climb into windows. And that was our spaceship, car, boat, whatever we were playing. That's what it was. You know?
Yeah, my grandfather had like, you know, the campers that go on the back of pickup trucks?
Yeah, yeah.
We had one of those in the backyard, and it was the same thing. Yeah. And the bad part about it is where it was in the yard, it was right underneath an apple tree, which was right by an electric fence for the cow pasture behind my grandfather's house. I cannot tell you the number of times where I would climb down off of the roof coming down, and my butt would hit the electric fence and shock me.
Yeah, I think the only time we got in trouble is when we painted. My grandfather was a house painter, and we found a can of his paint, and we painted that whole Ford Falcon one color. We just painted glass, everything. We just painted the whole thing. We were like second grade. And he wasn't too happy about that. But that's why when Solo came out and I saw that car he was driving, that reminded me of the 65 Ford Falcon. That, you know, the car he was being chased in had the same dash and everything, because the Ford Falcon had 2 round gauges with a long gauge. The speedometer was a big, long, sweeping gauge. So.
Yeah, well, actually, that same speeder, the same prop was used in Book of Boba Fett.
Oh yeah.
When Cobb Vanth is. I don't know. I believe they might have used it twice now that I think about it. But I specifically noticed it whenever when Cobb Vanth was confronting the Pikes at the very beginning of episode 6.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Okay.
You're right. I still think it was so bad. They were really bad on that deputy, man. They didn't even check on him.
Yeah.
They just that Barney Fife, man. He just didn't. He didn't make it.
I mean, look, he had it coming when he was telling Mando where to park.
Yeah, that was a weird. The parking thing was weird. It was just it was. I mean, it's good. I like how they do that because a lot of times they'll do that to show a whole backstory without having to go into it. I like when they can just take one little incident and you know exactly what kind of person that is without having him have to say, "Oh, well, that guy, he's a jerk," you know.
Well, that was a second parking reference in a Star Wars movie. The other one was in The Last Jedi when Finn and Rose parked their shuttle on the beach.
Oh yeah. That's true.
When they went to Canto Bight.
I gotta go back and rewatch that. One of my favorite spots on that is when the Falcon comes and shoots right through all these TIE fighters. When she returns.
One shot through all three.
Yeah. Well, I think the prequels did give the Millennium Falcon its justice. Like you heard how great the Falcon was, but you never got to see it. When Han was running, it was always breaking down and stuff like that. And when she had it, like when they first took off, and it showed the power of the Falcon.
Yeah, thank God for modern technology. I mean, just being able to see the Falcon in like its true dilapidated glory.
Mm-hmm.
Still doing some badass stuff.
Yeah. I still love when they're sweeping through the like the crystal caverns of of Crate.
Yep.
And you
that,
get
from what I understood, that was a connection back to the original Star Tours ride. Because when Star Tours came out, one of the things that they did was fly through like crystal caverns.
That's cool. Well, I like that. I like I liked it in Solo too. My favorite was when he said something about dropping the landing gear, like his friend Needles.
Till he crashed.
Until he crashed
doing this.
And I love the fact that people are still playing with the Millennium Falcon toys.
Yeah.
I mean, they have so many versions of it now.
Well, I have the Power of the Force one or whatever, the one that came out in the 90s, and I have the really big one, but then someone gave me a dilapidated one from the 80s or 70s, and it was missing every piece. So the pieces of the one for the Power of the Force are exactly the same. So I made, what do I normally do, Ken? I made molds of it. And so now I'm going to put that other one back together.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I think we have, so we've got my dad's original 78 Falcon. I've got my first Millennium Falcon, which was the vintage collection, which again, same as the Power of the Force and the Kenner.
Yeah.
All the pieces it's the exact same thing, just with updated stickers and plastic.
Yeah.
Then we've got two of the giant ones. One's still in the box because it was missing all the stickers.
Oh, okay.
And then one we hung up with fishing wire with a couple of the other giant ships.
My dream Falcon is the Toys R Us Falcon that used to hang over the Star Wars section.
There's a toy store in our mall that has one of those.
Because that one's more to scale to the 3.5-inch figures.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm thinking something different because this thing's massive.
No, that's what I'm saying. It's to scale. This thing, I think it should be, if I remember correctly, if I did the math, it was either 6 or 9 feet across to be to proper scale to a 3.5-inch figure.
Oh, okay.
Because I scaled the AT-AT. If you do it at a 3.5-inch figure, the AT-AT would be over 6 foot tall at its highest point. Because at one point in time, I was just going to print one. Because there was not that many good Star Wars files. Like, I'm just going to have it printing when my printer's empty. But then I was like, what am I going to do with a 6 foot tall AT-AT?
Don't tell my dad that. God. If he knew he could print a 6 foot tall AT-AT, God, I would lose my printers forever. Because that's his favorite anything really Star Wars is he loves the AT-ATs. We've got 4 of the original Kenner ones, nice. two of the vintage collection ones, one of the vintage collection Endor AT-ATs, the one that released in the same wave as the first run of the Clone Wars, and 3 of the Power of the Force ones.
None of the ones from Rogue One?
And that's right. I picked up the Toys R Us one on Black Friday when it was like $80.
Yeah, I passed on. There was a couple of those at Target I could have got for $30, and I passed on them only because I'm at that space. You know, I'm like I was getting to that. Like I gotta really curtail what I'm buying, just from space point of view.
Yeah, every time I buy something new, I always think, God, I don't have space for this, and then we find it just somewhere.
I love when they put those little parts in a toy. I mean, Arc 77 is mentioning like the clicking gun and the little accessories. It doesn't have to be 952 small things, but one or two well placed pieces makes it so playable, so memorable, so creative.
Well, my big problem with the Clone Wars toys when the girls were little, you would get a figure and it would have, like, you would get Rex and it would have some weird thing that didn't even go with a toy that wound up just either getting in the way or thrown out. You know, it'd be like a harpoon gun with a string on it, you know. And I just liked it when they would just like, here's what you get. Give me 2 extra pistols, because those pistols on the Clone Wars toys we lost all the time.
Yeah, because they were super tiny.
Yeah, and I remember the first one when first Clone Wars toys we got them had those clear rubber bands, and you couldn't see. You know, I wasn't used to it, so I'm trying to pull these toys out, and they had those clear rubber bands you couldn't see on them. So.
Yeah, luckily now everything stays in the box.
Yeah. Again, there's a lot of Black Series I'm probably going to get rid of, and
well, let me know which ones, because there might be some that I'm willing to adopt.
I don't think I have that many. I don't think I have that many good ones. Like, I think my oldest one, I have the original Black Series Stormtrooper, which is in the red and black box. I think that's my oldest Black Series, and then like all the Rebel stuff Zoe has in her room, so we'll keep that and stuff. But yeah, I gotta get through all these pops first and just decide which if or when I want to get rid of them. And we'll see.
Let me know.
Oh, geez.
Let me know.
Are there any pops you're looking for?
Not really. Nothing.
Like my favorite one's the giant Boba Fett. That one I don't think I'll get rid of.
The 40th anniversary one, or the special painted ones?
40th. I didn't like the special painted one. I was going to buy it, and I saw the 40th instead. And I was like, I'm going to buy that one.
I wish I had made that same distinction, but I've got both of the red and the black ones.
Oh yeah, so Arc wants my Lego display, my Hoth display.
That's what you got from the store, didn't you?
No, that one I bought from. I don't remember. I think it was at a bash or something, or at a 501st meetup or something. I bought. This guy had some Star Wars stuff, and it's the store display, but I don't know how I got it. And he's like, and the girls were big into, you know. So I was like, yeah, I'll get it. But yeah, I just gotta. The pops right now are probably the biggest, just because they take up the way my place is decorated. They take up more room than the enjoyment they give.
Yeah.
And I like even my sound equipment. I have enough of sound equipment here to fix like 6 studios. So
don't you have Mike Pilot's old sound equipment?
I have all Mike Pilot's old stuff. Plus I have my old stuff. Plus I have other old stuff that I picked up over the years. I have whatever this mic is, which is a good mic. But I have, I think, 3 of those, and I have 3. What are the big round, like the big round mics, the Yeti
Snowball?
Mics. Yetis.
Like
I have
this?
Well, mine are the long ones, the tall.
Oh, okay.
You know, I got 3 of those because I was building the whole studio in here, and you don't need them anymore. So I just got to figure out what I got to do. I got a keyboard connected to my one mixing board so I can do sound effects. Like, I'm not going to do sound effects. You know, it's not the morning zoo. So.
Yeah, as much as it pains me to say, I think I might start trying to get rid of some of my lightsabers, because they take up so much space and they're so hard to display.
Yeah, that's you know. Again, and once you start 3D printing stuff and you can custom make stuff, like it feels better with that stuff than I don't know. But I just bought a Black Series. I just bought the whatever The black.
The dark saber.
Dark saber. Just bought the dark saber.
See,
and I still haven't opened my Razor Crest.
Yeah, you were saying last week that you don't know what you're going to do with it, but I think I think you might have a bidding war on your hands if you ever decide to get rid of it.
Yeah, I don't know.
Or at least an arm wrestling competition.
Yeah.
I'll say, look, everyone, write a story why you should get it and send me $1. And then I'll do it for a month, and then I'll just randomly pick a name out. You ever hear someone like sold a house that way one time? Like you had to write in you had to send in $500 and write an essay on why you should get the house. And then once they collected enough of the house value, then they just randomly picked and give it to a person. I don't know if that's 100% true, but that's the urban.
It's a fun story to tell.
Yeah.
Can I give you 300 different essays?
Well, when we do we have to do Zoe's helmet giveaway soon. We'll probably do 2. She has 116 subscribers to her blog, and we'll probably do 2 for that. I just haven't decided which ones. I was going to do Bo-Katan. I'm just been lazy and not printing Bo-Katan.
I thought you already printed.
I have it. The nose needs fixed. The little brow.
Mm-hmm.
So I am going to print that one upside down because of that little peak. I'm going to try that one upside down.
I'm telling you, I was really nervous because there's a lot of support underneath of that, so it can get marred up pretty quick. But I mean, it took me, I don't know. It wasn't as much work as I thought.
It does cut the time. I just I just gotta get new printers. I get these 2 printers. I'm waiting to get paid. When I get paid for this job I did, and I get two more printers, then I can do bigger jobs. Right now, I just don't want to commit a printer to a couple day print.
Right. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with everything. It's like, okay, I'll get the helmet out of the way. It's a 2-day print, which 2 days that's really pushing it for me. Like,
I've done 8 days is the longest I've done.
See, I think the longest I've done is 3, and that's I won't do it again just for the simple fact of A, I'm impatient, and B, it's not just me. So and we've got very thin walls. So and my mother's a terribly light sleeper. So it keeps her up. But generally, with something like this, I would cut it at the top of the visor, and then maybe I'll cut it at the back. But this one, there wasn't enough good places to where I could cut it,
right,
to where it would be easy to hide seams.
That looks good. That looks really good.
Yeah, I printed it upside down on the horns.
Yeah, and
really, it was right here was the bulk of the supports, and it turned out far better than I expected it to.
You got a good shine. You see the shine from here.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Well,
thank you guys for inviting me again.
Wrap it up. It is 11:15. I was like, well, we're not going to do it that long this week, but
it turned out to be longer than last week.
Yeah, but no, it was fun.
We got a bunch of people, sending us messages along the way, which made tonight even cooler. We got a random special guest of Anthony coming on board. That was pretty exciting. Yeah,
I always like you guys' podcast, so I saw that he had commented, so I just sent him a message. I wasn't going to say anything until we knew. But yeah, Anthony's. If anyone follows him on Facebook, man, he has a lot of cool stuff. His kids are always doing stuff too. So, all right, guys. Well, I guess we will call it. Thank you all. Arc 77 hung in with us.
Yeah, the whole time.
Yeah, thank you.
Impressive.
And
Blood Sith.
Oh yeah, Blood Sith.
Derpy Gaming said hello, and we had e-girl Emma saying hey at the very, very beginning. So it was great to be on board with everybody. Yeah. And if anyone wants to jump in, and if we think of any guests, I'm going to try to get Zoe on. Wednesdays are tough for her, but I think she has spring break next week. So might be able to get Zoe on too. So.
Yeah, well, I think we should try and get, come closer to the day. I think we should try and get Matt on here and talk about Han Solo Chronicles. Yeah. Which have we locked down a date yet? Are we going to do the 12th or 13th? 12th. He just said 12th or 13th, and I haven't really checked which is which. Oh boy!
But that's what
keep me posted, guys. I'll catch up with you later.
Yeah.
All right.
I'll get him to post up this week too, because I gotta go. I gotta get to bed too. So.
Yeah, me too.
All right, man.
All right.
Talk to everyone later. Thanks.
Now I made it through the weather. Better days are gonna get better. I'm so happy.